the biggest crunch time.
Welcome back. We've been talking a lot this summer about the affordable housing crisis, and the largest owners association in Quebec has estimated that across the province, nearly 13,000 of their members are struggling with tenants who are illegally subletting their apartments to Airbnb-type platforms. Joining us to discuss is Kevin Busque. He's the operation manager at CORPIQ, the Corporation des Propriétaires Immobiliers du Québec. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
So explain the current situation that you're witnessing across Quebec.
Well, the main thing is when you sign a lease in Quebec, there is a clause that normally is checked off saying that the apartment should be used or must be used for residential purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
And if a landlord agrees to Airbnb, through a tourism-type short-term rental via the tenant, they will specify it. So first thing, when a tenant will sublet illegally his apartment on Airbnb, it is in violation with the lease to start with. And most of the time, the prices that are demanded, the tenant can make in a week what the rent is worth in a month very easily. That's one of the first things.
Mm-hmm.
And it could disturb the other tenants and everything else.
Yeah.
And it goes against, of course, also, city bylaws often as well.
Yeah, because there's zones, right? There's certain zones where Airbnb type platforms can't even operate, right?
That's correct. And so there's those two factors. And the third factor would be, well, once you've gone through those two obstacles, if you will, that the landlord agrees with it, you're in the right zone, well, then you need to go get your proper permits,
right,
and pay your proper taxes as well.
So only if the owner agrees to this can a tenant, and it has to be legal where the dwelling is, only if those two conditions are met, then a tenant could put the dwelling up for rent on Airbnb. So what you're finding out from your members is that basically, like, a lot of like professional renters are just renting to just put it on Airbnb?
Well, those are the worst cases in the sense that there are cases where tenants will rent out, lease multiple apartments and make a business out of it to have 10 apartments in Montreal, and they're renting them out on Airbnb, and they don't own any of these apartments, and they're doing it without, of course, the landlord's consent and probably or possibly the city's consent, and then in the end, whether it be Tourism Quebec and all of that, don't have the consent of that either. And the hardest thing is in a rarity in the fact that there are missing. We need more apartments available and housing available in the province. There is a proportion of housing that is being converted and taken off the market and put it into Airbnb style rentals, and that puts pressure on the market because it becomes even less housing is available at that time.
No, it contributes to the supply issue. So what does an owner do when he or she finds out that their tenant is subleasing, so to speak, through Airbnb type platforms?
Yeah, well, you need to do what every person should do, in a sense that the first thing is to talk to the tenant and explain why this is an issue, and it could be resolved that way. If it really must escalate, it will escalate into a letter of intent and ending up at the tribunal of the housing tribunal to get a court order, not necessarily evicting the tenant, but the court would then order the tenant to stop these types of activities. And if they continue even after the court order, then they would get evicted at that point.
And what about the government here? Are there enough inspectors? Are they on the ground? Are you speaking with them about taking some sort of action here?
Well, we're not necessarily in direct contact with them on this specific subject.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, it seems from what we can hear in and around the businesses that it seems to be very not very consistent, in a sense. Some will just get will never get inspected. Some will get inspected and then get a warning, and others will get a fine. But it seems to be few and far between. Yeah.
They're few and far between, but the CORPIQ, your organization, is calling on the government to do more, though.
Absolutely, and yes, in the interest of landlords being able to better control what's happening and to be able to stop this more easily. But it's not up to the landlord to always have to go and fight this in front of the tribunal. It should be inspectors and all of that. But it's also in the interest of the market and the interest of the supply, the housing supply. This shouldn't be removing the different apartments that should be available for regular rental, and that's the main reason.
And what's the liability question here? Because let's say you have a tenant that does not respect their lease and they go and sublet through Airbnb, and the whoever rents through Airbnb, and there's something happens, some fire or whatever, and there's liability issues. Is the owner responsible?
Well, I think the insurance company would have to prove that there's been some negligence. In other words, if the landlord is sort of aware of this and is not really taking care of it and is tolerating it, the insurance company could say, look, there was commercial activity, you were aware of it, and, well, we're not covering that fire. So I think a landlord who is unaware of it and it would happen, I think the insurance company would be covering that. But of course, when there is tolerance in that respect, and the insurance company isn't made aware of it, I mean, even someone who would have other types of commercial activity in their apartment, and the landlord is aware of it and approves it, well, the insurance company needs to know about it.
Very interesting. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. This is an angle of the story that we haven't heard about, and it's definitely contributing to the housing crisis. And I think you're right in going after the government here and asking the government to do more. Have you reached out to groups also that have been talking about affordable housing and these issues? Have you tried to create some sort of coalition or awareness about this issue?
Well, we're open to be able to speak to everyone and anyone, and of course that we are trying to open the channels, and it's not a landlord tenant fight where we're it's one group against the other. I think
that's always the dynamic. That's always the dynamic.
Often the dynamic, the different things that can come out in the media and everything else. And what we're trying to do is, yes, with the government, yes, with the different groups, and yes, with our members, is of course to try and come up with solutions for the housing crisis, and it's more of an affordable housing crisis. And I mean, the government isn't doing what's needed to be able to give a proper demand and to help with the supply.
Sure.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, and when you say 13,000 of your members are struggling, I mean, I guess most of them would be in Montreal, right?
I mean, of course, being in the centers with Quebec City,
Quebec City as well,
and all of that, and and I believe the estimate is actually that there's over 13,000 units that.
Oh, units! I'm sorry.
From the market, that we estimate that.
That's huge. That's a lot. 13,000 units that are affected by this. Very interesting. Kevin, I really appreciate you bringing this to light to us today. Thank you for your time.
Well, thanks for having me.
Kevin Busque is operations manager at CORPIQ, the Corporation des propriétaires immobiliers du Québec. When you think about it, I mean, 13,000 units. We're talking about right now 50,000 units, for example, missing, affordable housing units missing over the next few years. We've had experts come on and tell us that over the next 10, 20 years, we're going to need 200,000 units. So imagine if the government, who regulates this, the provincial government regulates this, the city of Montreal regulates this. Imagine if we had better enforcement, because owners can do a bit, sure, They need to make sure that they know what's going on with their rental units. But at the same time, you need enforcement because that could help, definitely. So imagine the cost of having more inspections. Yes, it means more personnel, more paperwork, more red tape. Yes, maybe. But imagine right now the cost, the enormous cost of not responding fully to the affordable housing crisis, the social cost, the economic costs. And so with this situation here, this is an angle that I personally didn't know about. And I think it's very important to bring to light that there are also many causes to the affordable housing crisis. And one of them is tenants actually subletting through Airbnb type platforms. So there's definitely something to consider here to fight this housing crisis.